Hey everyone, how are you? My name is Anubhav Singh. Today we starting lecture that is all about the Export Import Bank of India. In a short form, we do call Exim Banks. After this lecture, you will be able to understand what is all about the Exim Bank, what are the roles, what are the functions, and how Exim Banks are promoting export from India. Clear? There are numerous number of things which we are going to be complete by today's lecture. So before starting with the core concept of Exim Bank, we should have basic idea about how it has been started. Okay. So Exim Bank was established by the government of India under the Export Import Bank of India Act 1981. Okay, so it's set up by an act of the Parliament in September 1981. It's wholly owned by government of India and it has started operations in March 1982. So I've been already told you Exim Bank was established by the government of India under the Export Import Bank of India Act 1981 as a purveyor of export credit, mirroring global export credit agencies. Export banks serve as a growth engine for industries and SMEs through a wide range of products and services. This includes import of technology and export product development, export production, export marketing, pre-shipment finance, post-shipment finance, and overseas investment. So there are numerous number of the work which is being done by the Export Import Bank of India. Exim Bank extended the line of credit to overseas financial institutions, regional development bank, sovereign governments, and other entities overseas to enable buyers in those countries to import developmental and infra projects, equipments, goods, and services from India or deferred credit terms. Exim Bank has laid strong emphasis on enhancing the project export, introduction of the buyer's credit national export insurance account. During the year and end of the 31st March 2020, Exim Bank sanctioned the loan of rupees approx 40,000 crore, while disbursement amounted around 33,000, approx 34,000 crore. Clear? We'll talk about what are the objective of Exim Bank. They are basically for providing certain financial assistance to exporters and importers and for functioning as the principal financial institutions for coordinating the working of institutions engaged in financial export and import of goods and services with a view to promoting the country's international trade. They also shall act on business principles with due regard to the public interest. If we will talk about what are the operational philosophy they have, they are dealing in a international trade, financing program, promoting program, facilitating. How actually they are doing through the variety of financing program, value-added business advisory services, research and analysis. We will talk about the catalyst for financing, project, product and services. Clear? So our economy, as we know, our economy has been opened up post liberalization and globalization. The import and export industry became a huge sector in our economy. Even today, India is one of the largest exporters of agriculture goods. So to provide financial support to importers and exporters, the government set up the Exim Bank. Let us take a look. So Exim Bank has been popularly known Export and Import Bank of India, popularly known as Exim Bank. It is a principal financial institution in India for foreign and international trade. It was previously a branch of the IDBI. But as the foreign trade sector grew, as we know, after the 1991, India's foreign sector drastically has been grown up. It was made into the independent body. The main function of the Export and Import Bank of India is to provide financial and other assistance to the importers and exporters of the country. And it oversees and coordinates the working of other institutions that work in the import-export sectors. The ultimate aim is to promote foreign trade activities in the country. If we will talk about the management of the Exim Bank, the management of the Exim Bank is done by the board headed by the managing director. As we know, there are 17 other directors on the board. The whole paid up capital of the bank, that is around 100 crore currently, subscribed by the central bank exclusively. We will talk about what are the functions we have of the Exim Bank. They are mainly for financial import and export of goods and services from India. It also finances the import and export of goods and services from countries other than India. It finances the import or export of machine and machinery on lease or hire purchase basis, as well as to provide the refinancing services to bank and other financial institutions for their financing of foreign trade. Exim Bank will also provide financial assistance to a business joining a joint venture in a foreign country. So we have a numerous number of the work which belongs to the Exim Bank. Further, we are describing some other functions also. The bank also provides technical and other assistance to the importer and exporters. Depending on the country of origin, there are a lot of processes and procedures involved in export-import of goods. The Exim Bank will provide guidance and assistance in administrative matters as well as. If we will talk about the other functions, they also undertake merchant bank for the importers or exporters of the transactions of foreign trade. They'll underwrite shares, debentures, stock, bonds of companies engaged in a foreign trade. Will offer short-term loans or lines of credit to the foreign banks and government. Exim Bank can also provide business advisory services and expert knowledge to Indian exporters in respect of multi-funded project in a foreign country. We will talk about what are the importance of Exim Bank in India. Other than the providing financial assistance, the Export and Import Bank of India bank is always looking for ways to promote the foreign trade sectors in India. In the early 1990s, Exim introduced a program in India known as a Cluster of Excellence. The aim was to improve the quality standard of our export and import. It also has tie-up with the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. It has agreed to co-finance program with them in Eastern Europe. So in order to promote export-import bank, what actually Exim Bank done? Exim Bank also has schemes such as production equipment finance program, export marketing finance, vendor development, etc. Now we will talk about what are the operational philosophy of Exim Bank, how actually they are doing work. Clear? We will talk about the operational philosophy. They are dealing in a financing, by providing certain loans to the member countries, respective countries for the respective trade. They're promoting, they are facilitating. Through the variety of the financing program they have, they are promoting that businesses for value-added and business and advisory services, research and analysis also. So what we can say, the operational philosophy of Exim Bank emphasizes its functional role in promotions of Indian foreign trade. It encompasses to make the exporters competitive on the basis of financial terms offered by them, to provide Indian exporters with alternate financial solutions and enable them to become competent internationally. Further, they are more concerned about to provide the relevant and timely information to Indian exporters about opportunities in various areas of export, to provide currency advice to Indian producers to enable them to make competent exporters, to provide marketing and production finance to Indian manufacturers to make their product internally competitive, to look into the problems of Indian exporters and work on the policies for resolutions. Yeah. Any doubt? Clear? Further, we'll talk about the bank also plays a critical role in the partnering Indian industries in their globalization effort. The bank provides assistance in a various financial marketing and technical aspects to accelerate the growth of Indian economy. The bank engages into the various programs and services in the interest of Indian exporters, commercial bank, financial institutions to promote the foreign trade in the country. As we know what actually Indian exporters are doing, they do provide it with the suppliers credit, pre-shipment credit, import financing, beside deferred credit against technology and consultancy services to the foreign buyers. Under the import finance scheme, the bank finance export-related imports like computer systems, software, machinery, plant for installations, upgrading, expansion of production. Clear? So Exim Bank offers credit facility for setting up export-oriented units, export processing zones, domestic tariff areas, and unit exporting at least 25% of total annual sales. Indian companies seeking equity share in joint venture abroad also avail credit facility by the Exim Bank. Clear? Further, the bank offers also facilities like export bill discounting, refinance of export credit and terms loan for Commercial Bank of India, short-term export bills, which is actually not more than 180 days of small scale industries can be discounted with the Exim Bank. And the bank also offers loans to importers also, financial institutions and foreign government. Term finance is available for importing eligible goods services to export in other financial institutions. Exim Bank also avail credit facilities to international bank. These banks lend the credit to overseas clients for importing Indian goods. Along with the commercial bank, the Exim Bank issues guarantee for export and import in form of retention money and advance performance system. So the catalyst for financing we will talk about, they are not dealing with only product, they are also dealing with services, they are also dealing with project also. So what people's like thinking like this, that Exim Banks is only dealing with the certain monetary terms. No, Exim Banks is also responsible for research and development. Exim Banks are doing the research in the internally, and they have the full knowledge about the market, they have the full knowledge about the international market. In a respective country, what are the opportunities in that many countries, and what are the threats. So what actually Exim Banks do, they're providing certain value additional services and advisory services to the respective countries. We'll talk about the financing programs. The financing programs, we have export credit, import credit, loan for exporting units. Export credit, medium term, long term, lines of credit, buyer's credit, supplier credit. In the short term, they have pre-shipment credit and post-shipment credit. We will talk about the import credit, import loan for capital goods, bulk import loan for raw materials, and loans for exporting units. So we will talk about the export-import bank finance. Export-import bank finance assistance to promote Indian exporter through the directly financial assistance and overseas investment finance, term financing for export production and export development, pre-shipment credit, buyer's credit, lines of credit, relining facilities, export bills, rediscounting bills, refinance to commercial bank finance, computer software export. Finance for export marketing, and while what actually they do, financing to the commercial bank. And the Exim Bank also extended the non-funded facility to Indian exporter in the form of guarantee. They have different diversified lending programs of Exim Banks now cover various stages of export, from the development of export market to expansion of production, capacity for export, production for export, and post-shipment financing. The Exim Bank focuses on export of manufactured goods, project export, export of technology services, and export of computer software. Clear? We will talk about the financing programs, loans to the Indian companies, loans to the foreign companies, loans to the commercial bank in India, and guaranteeing of obligations. So firstly, we'll start with the loans to the Indian company. We'll talk about the loans to the Indian companies. First is a deferred payment export. Deferred payment export, what is this all about? Term finance is provided to Indian exporters of eligible goods and services, which enable them to offer deferred era overseas buyers. Deferred credit can also cover Indian consultancy, technology, and other services. Commercial bank participate in this program directly or under risk syndication arrangement. We will talk about the pre-shipment credit. Finance is available from Exim Bank for company executing the export contract involving cycle time exceeding 6 months. The facility also enables provision of rupee mobilization expenses for construction or turnkey project exporters. Third is terms loan for export productions. Exim Bank provides terms loan, deferred payment guarantee to the 100% export-oriented units in the trade zones, computer software exporters, and with the collaboration with the International Finance Corporation, that is called subsidiary organizations of World Bank, International Finance Corporation, Washington. Exim Bank provide to enable small and medium enterprises upgrade export production capabilities. Facilities for deemed exports. Deemed export are eligible for funded and non-funded facilities from Exim Banks. We will talk about not they are dealing with only domestic businesses, they are also dealing with the overseas investment finance. Indian companies establishing joint ventures overseas are provided finance toward their equity contribution in the joint venture. If suppose that Indian company, what is all about joint venture? When the Indian companies are moving in the foreign countries, they are making certain joint venture with their respective countries' company. So even though Exim Banks are financing the loans to the respective company. Next is the finance for export marketing. This program, which is a component of World Bank loan, help exporters implement their export market development plan. Next is the loans to the foreign government, companies, and financial institutions. First is the overseas buyer credit. What is all about the overseas buyer credit? It suppose that credit is directly offers to the foreign entities for import of eligible goods and related services on deferred payment. Second is the line of credit we have. Beside foreign government, finance is available foreign financial institutions and government agencies to on lend the respective country for import of goods and services from India. Apart from this, apart from national and the international, loans to the commercial banks in India. That means the loans to the commercial banks in India, export bills rediscount. What is all about export bills rediscounting? Commercial bank in India who are authorized to deal in a foreign exchange can rediscount their short-term export bill with the Exim Bank for an unexpired assessed period of not more than 90 days. Clear? If we will talk about the refinance of export credit, authorized dealers in a foreign exchange can obtain from Exim Bank 100% refinance of deferred payment loans extended for export of eligible Indian goods. Refinance of foreign currency pre-shipment credit. Facility of refinancing of pre-shipment credit granted in a foreign currency is also available from Exim Bank. Then guaranteeing of obligations. Exim Bank participates with the commercial bank in India in the issue of guarantee required by Indian compliance companies for export, contract, and for execution of overseas construction and turnkey projects. So if we'll talk about the import credit, import loan for capital goods, bulk import loan for raw material, and loans for what we call exporting units. In a term loans for expansion, diversification, new project, export product development, export market research and development. Term loans for overseas equity investment and direct equity stake in Indian overseas venture of exporting company. Next is Exim Bank competitive advantage. What is all about the Exim Bank competitive advantage? Exim Bank competitive advantage. Comprehensive range of product and services for exporters, knowledge of exporters requirements, international experience we can leverage on our international network, competitive finance they are providing to the exporters, lending in both rupees and foreign currencies, lending currencies financing in SMEs, small medium enterprises. Exim banks provide term loan for financing soft expenditures such as marketing, product development, and R&D financing, special product like LOC, letter of credit, overseas investment financing, etc. Clear? So what is term loan? Term finance for exporting companies criteria is minimum 10% of the turnover should be by way of export on FOB's basis of rupees 5 crore export of FOB's values, whichever is less. They are mainly for project financing, greenfield and brownfield project. Greenfield and brownfield project. What is all about the greenfield and brownfield project? So I'm just telling you what is all about greenfield and brownfield project. Green companies that all those companies which is actually want to be expand their businesses. Companies, they want to expand their interest internationally, generally make physical investment and purchase in another country. This is commonly known as a FDI. We will talk about the greenfield and brownfield. Greenfield and brownfield investment are two different types of foreign direct investment. Both the involving in a companies and production facilities in a different countries, but that primarily where the similarities between the two end. In a greenfield investment, parent company opens a subsidiary in another company instead of buying an existing facility in that country. A company begin a new venture by constructing new facilities in that country. Construction project may include more than just a production facility. They sometimes also entail the completion of offices, accommodations for the company staff and management, as well as distribution center. If we will talk about the brownfield investment, on the other hand, occur when entity purchase or lease an existing facilities to begin new production. Companies may consider this approach a great time and money saver, since there is no need to go through the motions of building a brand new building. Further, if we'll talk about the greenfield, the term greenfield refers to the building constructed on field that were literally green. The word green is also synonymous with the word new, which may allow to new construction project by companies. Whenever we are making new project or new product, a new construction we are making a very first time we are making any plant, that is called example of greenfield. But though these companies are generally multinational corporations that begin a new venture from the ground up, especially in areas where there are no facilities that already exist. There are several reasons why a company may decide to build a new facility rather than purchase or lease or existing one. Sometimes why we are making new one rather than purchasing or rather than leasing or rather than renting. The primary reason is that new facility offer design flexibility. We can customize the design according to your need, along with the efficiencies to meet the project's need. An existing food facility forces the company to make adjustment based on their present design, and all the capital equipment needed to be maintained. New facilities are typically much less costly to maintain the used facilities. If the company want to advertise of its own operations or attract the employees, new facilities also tend to be more favorable. There are also downside to constructing new facilities. Building from scratch can bring more risk. So there are certain advantages and certain disadvantages of greenfield. Suppose that we are constructing the new building, so we have to be making it from the scratch. So it can bring more risk as well as the higher the cost. So that is all about the greenfield. So brownfield is all about, with the brownfield investing, companies scout available building in the host country that are compatible with their business model. So all those building which is already available in the foreign overseas market and actually which is compatible with your business model or project model. So what we can do, we can hire or we can lease, we can take on the lease. If the existing national or municipal government require license, then what we can do, for approval, the brownfield facilities may already be up to code. In case where the facilities previously supported a similar production process, brownfield investment can be real cop-up for the right company. In an environmental contextually, we will talk about the term brownfield may refers to the fact that the land on which a facility sites may be contaminated from the previous owner activity. This is a distinct from a brownfield investment strategy. Next is production equipment financing program, import of technology and related services. We have domestic acquisition of business companies brand, export, product development, long-term working capital finance, import finance program for non-exporting companies. Now, what is all about the working capital finance? Now, working capital finance, we have a pre-shipment credit and post-shipment credit. Firstly, I will tell you about pre-shipment credit. I'm not going to be go in a very detail because in the last lecture I have been told you about the pre-shipment credit. Pre-shipment finance is issued by a financial institutions when the seller wants the payment of the goods before shipment. The main objective behind the pre-shipment finance or pre-export finance is to enable export, to procure the raw material, carry out the manufacturing process, provide the secure warehouses for goods and raw material, process and pack the goods, ship the goods to the buyers, meet other financial costs of the businesses. If we will talk about the types of pre-shipment finance, we have a packing credit, advance against check, draft representing the advance payments, packing credit in Indian rupees, and packing credit in a foreign currency. So pre-shipment credit is only issued to that exporter who has the export order in his own name. Firstly, we have to be receive the export order. After that, you'll be able to apply for the pre-shipment credit. However, as an exception, financial institution can also grant credit to a third party manufacturer or supplier of goods who doesn't have export order in their own name. But in this case, what will happen? Some of the responsibilities of meeting the export requirement have been outsourced to them by the main exporter. In other cases, when the exporter order is divided between two or more than two exporters, pre-shipment credit can be shared between them. If we will talk about the different stages of pre-shipment finance. So, first, the appraisal and sanction of limits. Before making any allowances for credit facilities, banks need to check the different aspects like product portfolio or product profile, political and economical detail about respective country, wherever you just want to send your goods. Apart from these things, the banks also looks into the status report of the prospective buyers with whom the exporters propose to the businesses. To check all this information, what actually we have to do, banks can seek the help of institutions like ECGC or international consulting agencies like Dun & Bradstreet, etc. We will talk about the how we can disbursement of packing credit is passed. Once the proper sanctioning of the documents is done, bank ensure whether exporter has executed the list of documents mentioned earlier or not. Disbursement is normally allowed when all documents are properly executed. Now, second is a post-shipment credit. What is all about the post-shipment credit to the exporters? Post-shipment credit is extended to the exporters by the bank with a low interest rate till the realization of their export proceeds. And post-shipment loans helps exporters to get finance without waiting amount of sales from their overseas buyers. Further, we will go talk about the post-shipment credit. Post-shipment credit means any loans or advance granted or any other credit provided by a bank to an exporter of goods or services from India from the date of extending credit of the shipment of goods or rendering of services to the date of realization of export proceed as per the period of realization prescribed by FET and includes any loan or advance granted to an exporter in consideration of or on the security of any duty drawback allowed by the government from time to time. Banks serve the low interest rate to exporters under the post-shipment credit based on the guidelines of Reserve Bank. If we will talk about the types of post-shipment credit, how many types? We have a numerous number of types of post-shipment credit are there. First is export bills purchased or discounted or negotiated. So after export by completing necessary export formalities,
The exporter obtains the necessary export document from various authorities like carrier of goods, custom department, other agencies. Exporters submit bill of lading, airway bill, invoices, parking list, certificate of origin, and other necessary export documents to the bank. The bank extends the post-shipment credit by the discounting or purchasing of such export bills with a concessional rate of interest. Once after realization of export bills for overseas buyer, the said amount is credited to the such post-shipment credit. If the amount from overseas buyer doesn't realize within the stipulated period, banks may crystallize such export bills by charging commercial rate of interest. Okay. Next, we will talk about advance against bills for collection. As already explained earlier, if the exporter doesn't want to discount or purchase the export bills, obviously he or she has to arrange to send export bills for collection. In this case, banks can allot a portion of export bills as advance against bills for collection with a concessional rate of interest. Once after the realization of export bills from overseas buyer, the said amount is credited to such post-shipment credit. Amount from overseas buyer doesn't realize with the stipulated periods, bank may crystallize as export bills by charging commercial rate of interest up to the extended amount advance. Clear? Next is the buyer's credit. We know supplier's credit, bills discounting. What is all about the bills discounting? Bills discounting in export import businesses. Or in other word, we can say export bill discounting. In the business of exporting, we do know owners understand the needs to reach a wider customer base without going over their budget. So export bill discounting is an international trade term and practices. Export bill discounting is designed to allow businesses faster payment for the goods they have shipped to the buyers. Export bill discounting occurs when a business's contract with the buyers for their goods or credit. In international trade, this can be called as a letter of credit, and a third party financing company uses this agreement to determine the export bill discount amount. Here, further we will talk about when a business and buyer agrees to the terms of an export contract. When the business and buyers both will agree to the terms of an export contract, the respective financial intermediaries issue the proper payment when the contract conditions are met. This means early payment for the exporter is issued by their financial intermediaries, who then collect payment from the buyer's banks at a later date based on the agreed upon payment terms. The business is therefore better able to negotiate with the buyer and expedite the payment process through the export bills discounting. With this agreement, the financial intermediaries of the export business and the buyers work together. The export business can be paid once they have furnished the customs and export document showing that the items are on the way to their buyers. The exporter's financial intermediaries assure the credit agreement for both parties and facilities the quicker payment to the exporters once the goods have been shipped. International trade finance companies are an important aspect of international trade transactions. Companies like a trade wind or some other companies, they're also able to provide a bridge between export companies and buyers to facilitate credit agreement, offer the credit protection, deal with the currency differences, and provide the quick payment of invoices and more. Exporting goods to another country can involve a greater financial investment then selling the domestically. Therefore, expediting the payment can enable a business to grow so that they can engage with the new market and continue to expand. We'll talk about what are the benefits of the export bill discounting. So there are there are many benefits to export bill discounting in the international trade. These practices allow export businesses to get paid quickly upon the shipment of the goods to the buyers, instead of having to wait for the buyers to get the shipment, process it and sell it, then get paid. And exporting the business just has to furnish custom and shipping details in order to receive payment. These practices enables businesses to generate more working capital quickly so that this money can be used to continue growing and taking care of the daily running of businesses. Export financing also simplify complicated international trade procedures which can be prohibitive for businesses that are not prepared to deal with an entirely different money system or financial culture. Finally, there are fewer financial expenses with export bill discounting. Business can determine what currency they want to purchase, depending on what countries they are exporting their goods to, which is beneficial to them. Instead of waiting for payment to clear multiple banks, shipment to arrive in other country. And businesses to sell goods. Exporters can rely on the advance payment based on the credit agreement already put in the place for the exporter and the buyers. Then export receivable financing we have, warehouses financing we have, export line of credit that is for non-resources, non-finance, the general working capital finance, working capital term loans, bulk import finance program.
Overseas investment finance. Financing for Indian companies' equity participation in the overseas joint ventures, wholly owned subsidiaries. Direct financing, terms and working capital to the overseas. Finance for acquisition of overseas businesses, companies including leverage, buyout, including structured financing options. Direct equity by Exim Bank in the overseas WS of Indian companies. Now, what line of credit programs we have? Exim own LOCs to economically strong developing countries and development banks. And we have stopped government of India concessional LOCs to developing countries in Asia, Africa, Latin America with a long-term perspective, while Exim raises the resources and fund disbursement. Government of India guaranteeing providing interest equalization support under development initiative. Total line 136, country 94, amount USD 4.49 billion. We will talk about the benefits. No recourse to Indian exporters. Exporters get payment on shipment, line of credit, a catalyst for trade promotions, enables import of Indian equipment and technology on deferred credit items, direct exposures on overseas buyers, and arrangement for financing a number of export contracts under the one umbrella. Clear? And further, Exim Bank extended the line of credit to overseas financial institutions, regional development banks, sovereign government, and other entities overseas to enable buyers in those countries to finance developmental infra project or import equipment, goods and services from India. LOCs enables entry to the new market whenever the any companies just want to be entered in a new market as a wholly owned subsidiary or joint venture or direct exporting. Financial comfort, consolidation and expansion, show cost lending capabilities, strengthen the bilateral cooperation, build partnership, promote the international trade, synergy and winning combination, development impact, help the help enable the private sectors to leverage strength, local capacity enhancement, spread of associated goods and services, cluster effect, tool for market diversification, Indian footprints, jobs in India and overseas countries. Now, project and services export of Exim Bank. Project and service export of Exim Bank. Export of project and services broadly categorized into civil engineering construction project, turnkey project, consultancy services. Over the past 2 decades, increasing number of contracts have been secured by Indian companies in West Asia, North Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, South and East Asia, CIS and Latin America. Such projects have been supplemented the effort to host country government in achieving the development objective. We will talk about what are the projects exported from India. So we have a numerous number of projects which has been with the mercantile export witnessing a slowdown during the past decade. There is a need to focus on newer avenues for the export growth for India. Project export is the one such sector of opportunities for India. Export of engineering goods and deferred payment terms and execution of turnkey project and civil construction contract abroad are collectively refers to the project export. With growing impetus to the infrastructure project across most developing countries and multilateral trade financing institutions scaling up their investment across various infra segments. So now further we'll talk about the Exim Bank and SMEs. Exim Bank supporting export from rural grassroots enterprises, export marketing support given for financial international market for product or rural industry products by HSG. HSG stand for Self Help Group. Exim in network of overseas offices play a proactive role, export marketing services, and Exim Center of Learning. Next is cluster approach. What is all about the cluster? Exim Bank initiated a cluster of excellency programs to assist small and medium-sized companies in achieving the international quality standards. The program aimed to assist the SMEs to achieve international quality certification, enhance their capabilities and acceptance in overseas market, and to facilitate the knowledge sharing with other companies in the cluster. It also enables companies to assess the international consultancy at a low cost due to cluster approaches. Nearly 100% companies were assisted in the range of engineering course. Next is the agribusiness group. The bank has put in the place of agribusiness group. The group looks for viable project and export transactions in agriculture sectors. The bank has set up agro portals in-house, which is an IT initiative to promote knowledge-based agriculture enterprises. www.eximbankagro.in. Clear? So Exim Bank is a dedicated agri-business group to cater the financing needs of export-oriented companies dealing in financial products. Financial assistance is provided via terms loan, pre-shipment and post-shipment credit, overseas buyer credit, bulk import finance guarantees, and all other things. If we will talk about the export, agri-export advantage, as we know, there are numerous number of the benefit of the agri-export advantage. Yeah. So Exim Export Import Bank or Exim Bank committed to support the rural banks or rural India or rural agriculture. The agriculture industry has put food on our plate every day, and Exim is committed to supporting rural business in selling their commodities and equipment abroad. In fact, the agency has a staff dedicated to these communities. As we know, during the recession in the bulk market in 2008 and 9, some rural companies began exporting for the very first time in order to expand. As a result, these companies were able to retain or create jobs through their export sales. So bank bring out a bi-monthly newsletter that is called Agri Export Advantage to facilitate the information dissemination in the 10 regional languages. Brought out finance following study reports, organic farming we have, plantation sectors we have, agro, processed food and export opportunities we have, assist a number of small and medium exporters in the agro sector covering following products and honey, mango pulp, mushroom, gherkins, fresh and processed fruit and vegetables. Now, what are the research and development of Exim Bank? Research studies on products, economic issues, sectors, countries, macro relevant. So, what this study analysis recent trends on India trade and investment relation with the South African development communities, that is for SADC. Bilateral trade and investment agencies, as the helm of the Exim Bank Research Analysis Group RAG, which is a team of experienced economists and strategies who steer the group with in-depth insight in internationally economics, trade and investment through qualitative and quantitative research techniques. The fully group skillfully monitors trend in a global and domestic economies to analyze their impact on Indian and other developing economies, beside catering to the constitute within the bank. The group also connects with the government, RBI, exporters and importers, trade and industry association, external credit agency, academic institution, and researchers. They have Exim newsletters, bilingual agri export. They have the agri export advantage in India in English, Hindi, and 10 regional languages. Indo-China newsletter, Indo-Africa, Indo-Latin America, Indo-CIS magazines. Capacity building for SMEs. Exim Bank has launched on the export marketing services program. They are seeking to help Indian SMEs sector to establish the product overseas and enter the new market through the Exim overseas offices and institutional partner network. They're also helping the Indian SMEs in their export effort by proactively assisting in locating overseas buyers, partners for the product services. No upfront fees, but operate on success fees basis. Over 300 companies supported in the various sectors. Some of the cost assistance include Ayurvedic product to the Hungary, tiger prawns to a leading restaurants chain in South Africa, cotton fabrics to the South Africa, incense sticks to the Singapore, South Africa, and USA, processed food to the Singapore and Italy, agarbattis to the South Africa and Singapore, natural sandstone and tiles to the Hungary, Lucknow chicken kurta to the Singapore, grapes and pomegranates to the Singapore. Now, innovative programs for empowering SMEs. Global Trade Finance Program, GTFP. What is all about this? Global Trade Finance Program has been started by, as we know, IFC, that is called International Finance Corporation, which is subsidiary organizations of World Bank. The program envisages the confirmation of letter of credit stamped by letters of credit, demand, guarantees, promissory notes or bills of exchange denominated in the dollar, euro, yen, or other freely available convertible currencies acceptable to the IFC. IFC stands for International Finance Corporations. Received by Indian exporters from pre-approved banks in the countries of IFC operations. Central Asia, Central and Eastern Europe, Latin America, and the Caribbean, Middle East and North America, Africa, and also regions of Asia and Africa. IFC also will provide guarantees, facilities to Exim Bank to cover such LC confirmation and confirmation of other trade instruments. So, Global Trade Finance Program guarantees the trade-related payments obligations of approved financial institutions in emerging market across all regions of world. So the GTRP banks network, local financial institutions can establish the working partnership with a vast number of major international and regional banks in the program, thus broadening the access to finance. By tapping the risk mitigation provided by the GTRP or Global Trade Finance Program, international trade finance can enhance the global risk confidently and gain the familiarity in the new market and build relationship with the quality counterparty banks across market around the world. GTRP extend and complement the capacity of banks to deliver trade finance by providing risk mitigation on a per transaction basis in challenging market where trade lines may be limited. With its global mandate, dedicated trade specialists and over 250 already banks in a GTRP participate can finance the import and export community by assessing a program that link them to an extensive network of banks partners worldwide. Yeah. The program currently covers 74 countries of IFC operations, and Exim banks may confirm the LC and other trading instrument issued by pre-approved bank for supporting India's export to these countries. Now, what are the institutional linkages of World Bank of Exim Bank? We have a World Bank group. World Bank consists of 5 intermediate organizations: IBRD, IDA, IFC, MEGA already written there, and ICSID. ADB, Asian Development Bank, African Development Bank, European Bank of Reconstruction and Development, MEGA Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, United Nations Conference for Trade and Agreement and Development, Trade and Development, Trade and Promotional Agencies, JETRO we have, Netherlands Council for Trade Promotions we have, Policy Agencies for Foreign Investment we have, Board of Investment of Sri Lanka, Board of Investment of Mauritius. If we will talk about the export credit agencies, we have Exim Banks Romania, CIS Export Bank, Hungarian Exim Bank, JBIC, US Exim Bank, PT Bank Export Indonesia, and Exim Bank of China. Now, Exim Bank partner in globalization. So they are dealing in different product and services, and they are assisting to the export and import business in a numerous number of ways: technologies, capital, raw material, capital goods, final products, capital goods, product development, production, marketing, principle and procurement. Now, Exim Bank is the Northeast region. Exim Bank endeavors to play a role in the promoting export from NER through creating awareness about potential to financing of export and export unit office in Guwahati, established in 2003, cover the entire NER Northeast region in the 8 states. Number of seminars conducted at the key centers in NER, Guwahati, Itanagar, Shillong, Kohima, and Gangtok, covering various sectors including export of agriculture products. They have discussed handicraft, medical and plants, export-oriented food processing industries, export procedures and documentation, and entrepreneurial development. We will talk about that they have certain linkage with certain financial institutions, organizations like CTET, that is called Scale Development Bank of Small Industry Development Bank of India, or NABARD, National Agriculture Bank for Rural Development, APARD or UTI or NADFI, Northeast Handicraft and Handloom Development Corporations. So finance number of units, they have they have already financed the number of units in various sectors, including passion fruit processing, cancer research institutes and hospital, tourist resort, manufacturing of refrigerators, bamboo flooring, ginger oil processing, pineapple slices, manufacture of potato chips, manufacture of IV fluids, BPO. So they have been financed in numerous number of projects in the Northeast region. So we will talk about what are the potentials of Northeast regions. Mineral-based products, they have agriculture, allied products, spices, processed food products, services export, handicraft, floriculture, aromatic, plantation, bamboo-based products. Thank you so much for joining. Goodbye. Take care.